And here he comes again now to bowl to Akima Teef in a job beside the ball. He plays that one out towards cover point. They're going for a single here. What do you mean? Was he's going to have to hurry the throw from DJ Tips stumps in? Was he run out without scoring?
Of course he was running out without scoring, Tony.
Well, that's what I just said, Bill. Was he out, you stupid also?
What do you mean, was he out, Tony? Look at the replay.
Hey guys, welcome to a brand new weekly cricket podcast called The Leading Edge. I am one half of The Leading Edge, Rob, a 20-year veteran of club cricket and a regular third-man fielder. I'm joined today by the regular co-host of the episode, Rich.
Hey, how you doing, Rob? You alright?
Yeah, pretty good, mate. Yourself?
Awesome. Yeah, great. Yeah, I can vouch that you were definitely a third man.
Third man, and then trundle all the way down to fine leg at the other end.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm delighted to be joining you, mate. First podcast.
It's exciting. Everyone else seems to make a cricket podcast or have something to say, and I can vouch for when you've had a few beers, you like to have a few words.
No. Vicious rumours, mate. Vicious rumours. But yeah, I probably will become very biased on this programme about a number of cricketing things that get my get stuck into. But yeah, let's get on with it, shall we?
So what this podcast is going to be, it's about cricket, and it's the hot topics, the good, the bad, the ugly, and we're not just talking about England's lower order in Australia. And what we want to do here is we want to grow a community with the local cricketer. So we're going to give you some insight into our club cricketing roots while discussing the hot topics of what's going on around the world. And if you've got your own stories, anecdotes, or stories from the pub after the game, drop us a line at the end. Details will be there, and we want to get yourselves either onto the show or we want to tell your stories. So what we're going to do first is we're going to get into what has gone on in the world of cricket in the last 7 days. Tell me, Rich, what's gone on in cricket in the last 7 days?
Well, a lot. So, Australia-England, fourth one-day international, was played today over at the Adelaide Oval, and Australia actually won by 3 wickets. England bowled out for 196 with a fantastic start for England. They were 5 down for 8 runs after 6.1 overs. Sounds like one of our starts, doesn't it?
It does. We've been bowled out for 20 on many occasions.
Character building. Josh Hazlewood, Pat Cummins blew away England top order before Captain Morgan and a fantastic knock from Chris Wokes, 78, helped England to post a modest total. Travis Head hit 96 for the Aussies, but
one of the great names.
Really, Travis Head, amazing. But he deserved a ton today. I caught the back end of it, and he really did bat well. England did reduce Australia down to 7 wickets before Tim Payne got him over the line. Adil Rashid, pick of the bowlers again for England, 3 for 49, and that's 3-1 to England going into the final ODI even.
It's pretty good by England, to bounce back after the one-day series. But I'm sure they did that before, didn't they? When one of the 5-0 trouncings they got years and years ago, maybe 2010, 11 or 2006, they came back and won.
Whoa! I'm gonna have to interrupt there, pal. 2010-11 was one of the great times. That was when we won the Ashes down under. That was when your co-host may have been in Australia watching those fantastic test matches.
There may be photo evidence of you on Sky Sports in the crowd as well. Maybe.
Whoa. I think there might well be, actually. So, anyway, but yeah, you're absolutely right, mate. It's amazing what a difference it makes. It's almost like the pressure's off, different ball. Get the pajamas on. Suddenly they're a different team, aren't they? But I've heard it being talked about as well. What would have happened in the Test series if we'd have been able to play the ODIs first? So. Who knows?
Yeah, definitely. The thing with the England team is they're quite different teams that take the field from the Test team to the one-day team. And the one-day team come into this series, they're a really good one-day team now. After the 2015 World Cup disaster, they've turned themselves around and they're one of the most efficient teams in that kind of 15 to 40 over period. And they always score well. In fact, I think that they're the only team that go over 6 and over in the middle of the innings. And they've managed to turn themselves around, and that confidence that would have come from a one-day series win into the Test series would have made for possibly a different outcome in the first Test. And kind of those first Test match nerves or first few games that England always struggle with in Australia.
Absolutely. I think we were talking about it the other day back in the old famous 2005 series. We started with some white ball cricket and England really got stuck into the Aussies then, didn't they? Hit the ground running in the Test series. So who knows? Like I say, that's something we can talk about another day, can't we? Really go into that preparation, the argument of lack of preparation going into some of these series for teams. So But it's funny you should actually talk about England as well. I was having a quick look today. England have got by far the best record since the 2015 World Cup. They've won 37 and lost 15, which is a win-lose ratio of about 2.5. The next best team is India, with won 34 and lost 18. So it just shows you what a great team England have come since that last World Cup.
Yeah, I think selection has a lot to play with it. When they played in the 2015 World Cup, some of the selections were a bit head-scratching. I still think we had Ian Bell opening the batting. We had Alex Hales carrying drinks for the whole series. And we weren't able to get the ball off the square. Moeen Ali was opening and didn't do too bad. He got 100 against Scotland. But yeah, the whole selection around the team didn't feel fresh or new or dangerous. Whereas now I think the bowling attack's evolved and the batting's definitely involved. Given the amount of T20 and one-day cricket played in England these days, there's boys that can give it a good smack, get it over the boundary, and it's just something that seemed to be lacking 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, it's that no-fear cricket that Morgan and the management team have installed, isn't it? They've just got, they just want to go out there and show off now, especially as a batting unit, and well backed up by the bowling as well.
Yeah, no, that's good. The other one on it is Chris Wokes. Chris Wokes didn't have a great Ashes series, which we might come to soon. But as he's been a great Test cricketer for England in England, and he's doing really well in this one-day series. And his batting is seeming to come along, and he's picking up a few 50s. The question is, will he ever be good enough to take on not a Ben Stokes sort of role? I think Ben Stokes is a genuinely class batsman. But how high through the lineup could he be? And we're talking Test cricket here as well. How high could he see himself go in that lineup? Is he good enough to one day be a Test cricket number 7?
Yeah, it's interesting. Doesn't he bat at 6 for Warwickshire? So
he does, yeah. He's a top 6 guy.
I think he might well do. Yeah, exactly. I think where he could bat is probably one question, but it's linked to, would you ever need him to bat there? When you've got people like Stokes and Bairstow, and if Bairstow doesn't, isn't in the team for whatever reason, you've got the likes of Joss Butler or young, Ben Foakes coming through. Would you need him to bat that high, really, with that 6 and 7? So, I wouldn't be looking to rely on him, especially not in the Test side. But yeah, I mean, batting at number 8, it's all about having that long batting lineup now, isn't it? There's no longer the days of batting to number 6. You need teams to bat to 8 or 9, really bat through down the tail. Yeah,
and we do it well in one-day cricket, and for whatever reason, and we'll get on to Test cricket later, but man, for a long batting lineup that England's got, didn't quite click this summer or this winter in English times.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, absolutely, mate. So, cool. All right, well, England's not the only bit of cricket going on at the moment. We've got some interesting developments in South Africa today. I don't know if you caught any of this, mate, but South Africa-India, third day of the third test, ended up with the umpires taking the players off the field. So basically, I mean, I didn't catch much of this today, but I did catch the South Africa second innings, and basically Dean Elgar, the opener, gutsy little left-handed opener, he took one on the rising ball on the kind of on the arm glove area, and then he took one straight on the grill. It was shouldn't chuckle, but it had the ice pack on for him. And to be honest, that ball on its own wasn't actually a bad ball, but because of so many deliveries were rising up, smacking people on gloves. The Indian first innings as well. Sorry, the second innings. It just, the umpires kind of got themselves into that absolute no-win situation where they decided to take them off the field. Just quickly, just run on Michael Holding, who's commentating at the game. He's just, he was quoted saying that it's gone beyond being difficult. The pitch is basically just dangerous.
Yeah.
You've got players like Amla, Virat Kohli, they were really struggling on it. So, it's one of those where it's such a difficult one for the umpires to take them off the field. Kohli, as you can imagine, was really frustrated by the decision because, him and his teammates spent a good chunk of the day or their innings really grafting to get India in a position where they could win the game. So it has been announced that they will return to the field tomorrow on the 4th day. But South Africa chasing 241 to win. I can't see them getting that on this track.
Nah, it's a very strange one. So there's been 3 scores above 50 in the whole game. Murali Vijay, just reading this, got struck 5 times in the innings, in the first session alone. Now, if the pitch isn't good enough on the end of day 3 and the umpires take them off, what is going to change to them being able to give them more play on the start of the fourth day? Like, when does it become safe again? Are they going out with a polyfiller on the wicket, just plugging a few gaps?
I've got no idea. I mean, umpires were just kept looking at the pitch, just in between overs. They were just walking around and looking at it, just staring at it, just trying to scare the pitch into behaving. But I really don't know what they were thinking. I didn't really catch much of the India innings, but it was just relentless. Then we're only, they were saying it's the new ball. We knew what was going to happen with the new ball. It was going to start taking off again. You don't mind lateral movement, but when it's just bouncing off a length and rearing up and hitting gloves and arms, what do you do? It just becomes dangerous. And we're only 8 overs into the innings, so there's a good shine on that ball. It's a good hard new ball. So I really wouldn't want to be Elgar or Amla tomorrow morning. Well, I probably would actually, because they're both amazing players. But just tomorrow, I'll let them to be themselves, and I won't be them.
It is going to be a difficult one. I know for sure. If it was me batting, I wouldn't fancy much of that on that sort of day. But I don't get it. So there's been, just reading this, there's twice in Test cricket history where the game has been abandoned because of dangerous conditions, and they've both been in the West Indies. The 1998 series, England was 17 for 3 at Sabina Park, and the umpires took them off. I remember seeing the bounce on that was ridiculous. There was Alex Stewart jumping around, everyone trying to get out of the way. And then there was 2009 in Antigua. After just 10 balls of a Test match, it got called off. Now, in both of these instances, it was straight off, there's no more cricket. I can't get my head around the fact that the umpires are going, oh no, we might be able to get back out there. If it rains and you go off, yeah, you might get back out there at the end of the day. Or if it's a thunderstorm, it clears up, you can get back on later on in the day. But when the pitch is fundamentally a hazard and dangerous, and given how cricket, since the Phil Hughes death, I think cricket has kind of changed to be a little bit more safe around health and safety and the batsmen and making sure that play isn't dangerous. I can't see them getting back out there. And if they do, and someone gets hit and injured, I feel they're lining themselves up for a beating, because it kind of goes against everything that they've been trying to do over the last few years. That's
a great point, actually. Yeah, especially about the Phil Hughes incident and whatnot. It's like I say, they are going to go back out tomorrow morning, so it'll be really interesting to see how the pitch plays and see what happens. When's the next time Elgar gets one on the arm, or Amla takes one on the chest or whatever off a length? What will the umpires do then? Are we going to be back to where we started, or have the ground staff been able to do anything overnight? We've got no idea, but it's a crazy situation that's developing over there. But let's hope they can finish the test and everyone gets through it okay. Yeah. India will be so keen to get back out there tomorrow. South Africa have won the first 2 Test matches, so it'll be really important for India. The sort of egos that you've got on display there, especially with Captain Kohli. So they'll want to get out there tomorrow morning and finish the job off, especially after they've had to put up with it for 2 innings. They'll want South Africa to have to go through what they've gone through.
Yeah, it's almost like, when you play club cricket and you turn up on a Sunday. So Sunday's seen as the jovial day of cricket, right? You go out on a Saturday, you celebrate your win or your loss from the Saturday night. And on a Sunday, you guarantee you bat first. And there is nothing worse than fielding first for 40 overs on a Sunday and then it raining and you're not getting a chance to bat. And this is it's kind of the club cricket situation of a poor Test match wicket where India might not get to bowl on a really good wicket to bowl on.
Yeah. Are you trying to compare yourself to Virat Kohli? Is there a weird sort of going around the houses trying to say that you're basically as good as them?
We do have a lot in common. We've both got beards, we've both got black hair, and we're both right-handed.
Anyway, so in New Zealand, New Zealand, Pakistan, mate. For the listeners out there, Rob is in New Zealand. It's a damn disgrace he's over there, but we'll let him off. The Pakistan levelled the series 1-1 after winning the second 2020 yesterday, I believe, in Auckland, where you are, your hometown.
It is.
Pakistan, they batted first, posted a much improved total of 201 for 4, with Zaman and Babar Azam posting half centuries. In reply, the hosts were skittled for 153, with only Mitchell Santner, that awesome all-rounder, and Ben Wheeler scoring above 30. New Zealand won the ODI series 5-0, easily beat Pakistan in the first T20. Was it 105 all out?
Yeah.
I think we can say this absolutely. A bit of a surprise result yesterday. So, thoughts on the final T20 there, mate, and that tour as a whole?
Yeah, if I was a betting man, I'd put my money on New Zealand. New Zealand at home have turned themselves over it's probably the last 8 years, I'd say. New Zealand have gone from being, New Zealand are touring here, or touring New Zealand you expect to win. that's definitely changed, and there's a lot more depth in New Zealand cricket, and there's a lot more quality in New Zealand cricket, and especially as a 50 over and a T20 team, they are bloody dangerous. Bloody dangerous. Colin Munro at the top of the order is in some of the best form he's been in at this level. Like, he scored hundreds, double hundreds, fast runs in first class cricket, in one day cricket, and T20 slam cricket out here, I think it's called. But this is the first time where he's really started to nail himself down at the top of the order against Pakistan, and in the one day series in particular, he just looked nonchalant. Just like, you see guys when they're in form and they're just like, get this slow shit off. This isn't good enough to get me out. And he's just dispatching the ball over the boundary once and again. And him and Martin Guptill at the top of the order in one day and T20 cricket is as dangerous an opening pair as Finch and Warner in my eyes. I may be a little bit more biased towards the Kiwis than I am the Aussies.
Yeah, we'll give you that. That's fine. But
yeah, I'd expect New Zealand to win this. I expect the bowling attack to be a little bit stronger. They've been rotating the bowling attack throughout the T20 games so far, and I expect them to go flat out for the third T20 international and play for the win. They will have one eye on the upcoming series and Tri-Nations T20 against Australia and England, but I can't see past a New Zealand win. They score fast, they score hard, they've got depth in bowling, they've got a great spinner in Mitchell Santner, and the seamers, Bolt, Southey, these sorts of guys, they're not chump cricketers anymore. They're real quality cricketers. And the thing with Pakistan is you never know what's going to turn up. Like yesterday, Thursday, New Zealand time, they were immense for that game. But that is the only time they've showed up all tour, really. And it's an ongoing thing with Pakistani cricket where you're not quite sure what you're going to get. They'll either be absolutely world beaters or you'll roll them over. And Pakistan are like most cricket teams where they don't tour well, but their situation of not touring well is exacerbated by the fact that they play on these Pakistani and UAE wickets so much, and they go somewhere else and they're like, I don't know how to bat and I don't know how to bowl on this.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a tough one for them, isn't it? And it's very different conditions. I mean, New Zealand is as close to English conditions, and in their own way, they're probably some of the most difficult conditions for teams of subcontinent and southern hemisphere teams, to actually play on. I mean, you talk about the New Zealand players as well. Kane Williamson, we've not mentioned him. Ross Taylor, they're starting to develop that really strong team. This could be their window of opportunity to really get some results out there in all forms of cricket.
It is, yeah. You talk about Kane Williamson's in there, and kind of like, in tennis, you've always got like the top four players and there's everyone else. The Premier League, you've got the top four players and everyone else. Kane Williamson kind of fits that mould in terms of the top four batsmen and everyone else. You'd probably put Steve Smith, Virat Kohli, Joe Root and Kane Williamson as the top four batsmen in the last 2 or 3 years. And he's just got this incredible ability to just solely focus on what he's doing, scoring runs and score them consistently. Now, he has got a bit of a bad reputation for sometimes getting out in the 80s and 90s.
I'd hate to have that habit.
Yeah, exactly. It gets me when commentators go, he keeps getting out in the 80s and 90s. I'm like, mate, I only got there a couple of times.
Joe Root don't convert enough.
Yeah, exactly.
He gets 60 every game.
Exactly. 60 every game don't win you a test. Well, what about the other 10 players who have failed?
Exactly. Just a few more bits of bit of news before we crack on. But West Indian cricket today, there's a bit of a disappointing bit of news here. It's positive and negative news, to be honest with you. They've got their World Cup qualifiers coming up in Zimbabwe in March. They've announced today that Sunil Narine, Andre Russell, Kieron Pollard and Darren Bravo have all opted to skip them to play in the Pakistan Super League, which is lovely of them. On the plus side, Chris Gale and Marlon Samuels are both included, so that's really, really positive on that side. But it must be really disappointing to see, senior players like that wanting to prioritise Pakistan Super League over, the potential for West Indies to qualify for the World Cup.
Oh, you'd be gutted. You'd be absolutely gutted. Imagine if England players started doing that. Core England players as well, because we're not talking about anybody. We're talking about some serious players. Darren Bravo and Kieron Pollard are a staple of that West Indies team, and two of the best players that they've got on hand. It's like for England having Ewan Morgan just one day going, sorry guys, I'm not touring that country, I'm going to go and play in the Bangladesh T20. It just wouldn't happen, and they wouldn't play again. The West Indies cricket situation it's a real mess, because growing up for us as lads, the West Indies cricket was the team to be feared. Like, they were serious. My day, it was Ambrose, Walsh, Bishop, Benjamin. those sorts of guys, and they were just immense. It didn't matter where they played in the world; they were scary.
Because you could pretty much roll off that team, couldn't you? You could pretty much just scribble it down now. That sort of 11 that was touring England over the years.
Yeah, exactly. There were household names, and you had Greenwich and Haynes back in the day, and then you had Williams and Campbell and Lara and Adams. They were just a great team, and the problem with the West Indies cricket, there isn't an easy fix because there's obviously not money in West Indies cricket at all. It's I've never been, but I'd guess it's not as quite a richer country as an Australia, an India, or an England in terms of the money invested into the game and the money going into the back pocket of the players. And can you blame the players in a way? It's almost like they've got past that. Playing for the West Indies isn't the pinnacle of the sport anymore for that country. It's actually going out and making a living, which I think England do well, India do well. Australia do well. It means something to play for those countries at the top level, whereas I think West Indies they're the ones that have kind of teetered off, and it doesn't mean that much to them anymore. Yeah,
there's definitely a loss of pride in representing the Windies, isn't it, from compared to those kind of great days of the past. So it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out, and maybe that's something that we can talk about in the future as well. Just be really interested to delve deeper into West Indies cricket, how they've got here and where they go.
Yeah, it definitely would be. It definitely would be, because it's one where most people will scratch their head and go, just how the hell did that happen? It's like the great Australian team of, the early 2000s, and then all of a sudden being 15 years later, like today, and the Aussies are terrible. But not just terrible, nobody wants to play for them.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, mate. You're absolutely right. Couple of bits of news for England, just to rattle through quickly. Ben Stokes, as we all know, obviously the incident which meant that he couldn't travel with England for the Ashes. He has been recalled to the squad. He's due to appear in Bristol Magistrates Court 30th of February, which sod's law is the day of the first 2020 with New Zealand, so he's not going to be playing in that. Hopefully all goes well. He should join up with his teammates in time for the second T20 match, which is in Hamilton on Sunday the 18th. So
I will
huge
be
miss,
there.
but I
will be there
so
for that on my birthday.
First hand, yeah, I knew that. That's fine. Fine. Yeah, we're going to have live tweeting from there.
I think we should have live tweeting from there. Maybe a little cricket vlog from the game.
I love it. And one player that hopefully, in my eyes, might be playing on at least in this T20 T20 series is Sam Curran, the young Surrey all-rounder. Really exciting talent. He's only 19, but he's just been added to the T20 squad for the tri-series between Australia, New Zealand, and England. I'm really, really excited by this. This is one of the players. There's not many in the last couple of years that I've watched at county level that has really kind of grabbed my attention. Tom Curran's obviously the one that made it into the Test side recently, and he's a good player. But Sam, for me, I think it's not going to be long before he becomes a fixture in all three formats of cricket for England.
That's pretty. When was the last time England produced an 18-year-old seamer capable of playing international cricket?
Oh man, when he was 17, whatever he was when he was making his debut. I mean, he still looks about 12 now, doesn't he? Bless him. But he's just such a talent. It's going to be interesting to see where they go. Going to run through some county signings, so just pulls it down a little bit. But it's interesting, just interesting nonetheless, just to run through. Ish Sodhi, you're the resident Kiwi in house. Sodhi, I've got it right then. I should know because he's a Notts. He played for Notts last year, and it's just been announced that he's going to rejoin Notts Outlaws next season, or this summer coming for the 2020. As a Notts boy myself, and you as well, Rob, obviously.
Yeah.
We won last year. We actually won the tournament, which is fantastic. It's been a few,
did more than win the tournament. Did the double, mate. Did the double.
Exactly. I was at Lords for the final of the what do you call it, the white ball cricket competition. What's it called? Can you remember? I'm putting you on the spot now.
Capital One Cup, Milk Cup, Gillette Cup, Karibo Cup,
Zenith Data Systems Cup.
Oh, you fluent.
Is that what it was?
That was the next one. Next on the list.
That'll do. Anyway, yeah, the white ball. We won everything last year. It was amazing. But yeah, Sodhi's coming back over. I believe, I might be wrong, but I think he's the number one ranked 2020 bowler in the world at the moment. So that's a cracking pickup.
Interesting. He has got incredible stats in T20 cricket. 29 wickets in T20 internationals, an average of 16. A strike rate of 14 and an economy rate of about 6.5. So he's a serious short ball player. He's not catapulted himself into being a test cricketer for New Zealand, which is what they would really, really want him to do. But yeah, man, he's a hell of a player, and he's done it right in terms of, guys come into the teams. Look at someone like Samit Patel. He's a Notts boy through and through, and kind of worked his way through the system and through the age groups. Sodhi's exactly the same. He started up at the Northern Districts, and then he's played Auckland under 19s, 17s, 21s, played T20 cricket for Auckland. He's played for the Auckland Aces in the first class competition. He's a student of playing this brand of cricket over the last 10, 15 years, or 10 years. He's 25 years old. And he'll fit great into Nottinghamshire, because Nottinghamshire's got that immense history with New Zealand players over the years.
Oh, yeah, just a bit. That was the podcast on its own, that one is, mate. If we start rattling through those. So, good old Hadley and all the rest of it. Nathan Astle, Fleming as captain.
Andre Adams.
Anyway. Oh, mate. Was he Kiwi? Yeah, he was, wasn't he? Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Well, keeping the Kiwi theme going anyway, you're another local boy, Colin de Grandhomme, one of the greatest names in cricket, world cricket at the moment. He's rejoining Birmingham Bears, formerly known as Warwickshire, for their 2020 campaign as well. He was, I think he scored over 300 runs last term for Birmingham, so that's another great pickup.
Yeah, he's again another solid player. He's a dangerous player. Like, that man can hit a cricket ball a serious long way. He's played in the IPL now. He's played New Zealand cricket. He got 6 for on his test debut innings with the ball as well. He got 6 wickets. So he can bat, he can bowl, he can field. And seriously, when he hits the ball, it stays bloody hit. And the interesting thing about de Grandhomme and Sodhi is neither of them were actually born in New Zealand. Sodhi was born in India, and de Grandhomme was actually born in Zimbabwe. And
no kidding.
They've obviously, or families somewhere across the time have come across to New Zealand quite young, and then brought them up in New Zealand, which is kind of what New Zealand's based off. It's based off immigrants and people coming in. Even 200 years ago when the Scots first came over.
Oh, jeez, dropping knowledge, mate.
Oh, that's history lesson. History lesson.
New Zealand history podcast. That'll be available from all bad podcast places soon. Oh man! Just a very, very last one I want to talk about for county cricket as well. This is a bit obscure, but Leicestershire. We've got to give everybody a bit of love, haven't we? Even teams in Division 2, Leicestershire. They've gone out and signed Pakistan seam bowlers Mohammed Abbas and Sohail Khan, basically to split the overseas role for 2018. I didn't know much about Abbas, but apparently, he's going to be the main signing. He's taken 23 wickets in 5 test matches at an average of 21. New kid on the block. He sounds a hell of a bowler. So that's a great pickup. And then they've complemented him with Sohail Khan, who's going to basically fill in for when Abbas is expected to be playing for Pakistan in this summer's tour of England. I just think that's a super bit of business for Leicestershire. It's going to get the punters in. It's going to make them be a hell of a lot more competitive. As Notts showed last year, a little bit biased towards Notts when we're talking again. But when we had Pattinson in the summer last year, he was incredible. You get a quick paceman in that team, you're going to knock teams over, you're going to win games of cricket. So I just think that's a fantastic bit of news and a great bit of business from Leicestershire.
It definitely is. And Pakistani guys are so talented. And as we've already said, if you get them on the right day, they're absolutely world beaters. And you look back over county cricket over the years, the quality of bowling there used to be in county cricket from overseas players coming in. It's great to see that. It's great to see test bowlers coming in to play even in Division 2 at the county championship. It's great for the game.
Yeah, absolutely. It's exciting. So I think that pretty much wraps up the news this week, mate. So what's next?
What is next is we're going on to the hot topic, and the hot topic is the 2017-2018 Ashes series. So as we all know, England got drubbed 4-0 in the Ashes series. It was an emotional time. It was a bad time. I was upset, and I'm all the way up here, and I go into work every day, and there's Aussies at work going, hey Rob, do you see the scores at the weekend? Do you see the scores? And one day, I think it might have been the first day of the Ashes, or the second day, I went into a meeting. England were 3 down. The meeting was an hour long. I came out. We were 7 down. It's an emotional time. And I'm glad, in a way, that it's over and we can look back on it and we can analyse it and we can go, what could we have done better and what would we want to see next time?
Okay. Starting off as ever, first test at the Gabba on a strange pitch. The Gabba's usually famed for its pace and bounce, or at least its bounce anyway. And it's good carry, and it was just not that at all. So Australia won by 10 wickets. That's pretty convincing. 173 for none in the final innings of the game. But looking across the performances, Mark Stoneman 53. He took his form. He scored three half centuries and a century in the warm-up game, so he really took his form into that in the first innings. James Vince, 83. Dawid Malan, 56. Some real positive starts, but we posted 302 in the first innings, but then you start to see from the off what Australia were all about. Mitchell Starc, 3 wickets. Cummings, 3 wickets. In the second innings as well, for Australia bowling, Starc, 3 wickets. Hazelwood, 3 wickets. Lyon, 3 wickets. Bancroft, 82 not out. 87 not out for Warner. And we can't forget, Captain Steve Smith, 141 not out. I used to absolutely crucify him. I'll never forget 2010-11 Ashes when he got called into the team at number 6. It was just hilarious. What have they chucked this leg spinner in the team for as a batsman? Yeah, I feel a bit stupid now, but, what do we know?
Yeah, one thing to take from that innings as well was England bowled bloody brilliantly in that first innings of the first Test match. So England got the 300 odd and they bowled Australia out for 328. But England were so good and worked so hard, but it didn't matter what they threw at Smith. Smith was solely focused on, these are my 2 or 3 scoring shots. It doesn't matter where you bowl it. If you bowl it in one of those areas, I will pick up 1 or 2. And he was just solely focused on, and he knew if he stood tall on the first day of the first Test match of the series, it was going to make a huge statement.
Exactly, it's captain's knock, isn't it? And it's just the amount of time he looks like he's got at the crease. He's one of those irritating batsmen. We've all played against him, not as good as him, obviously, but we've all played against some guys that shuffle across the pitch, show you the stumps, and you think you've got a chance every single ball, but then he just trots across, gets in line, does what he wants with it. It's a bit like a central midfielder that's just got time on the ball that he he just looks a class above. So he's just turned into an unbelievable talent, and I'll be absolutely honest, I'm shocked at the player he's become, but he is awesome.
It's kind of Hashim Amla-esque. If you can remember when Amla first started in Test cricket, he was pretty terrible, and all he had was this one little shot off his hips to the leg side, but he developed his overall game and he got to learn what his scoring areas are rather than playing every shot in the game. And it's as basic a game as what it is. If you can play out the good balls and you know where you're going to score your runs, you turn it into a pretty simple game.
Yeah, absolutely right, mate. So moving on to the second test, the day-nighter in Adelaide. Would have been great to go there for the day-nighter. Real good fun. Australia won this test by 120 runs. A game of chances for England, missed opportunities. Sean Marsh, 126 not out. Bit of a surprise. But Australia as well just threw out their batting lineup. I think there was 5 guys that hit at least 40 in that innings. England followed it up. 30s for Cook, Wokes. We're probably going to hear Wokes' name quite a bit. And Overton on debut, he took 3 wickets in the first innings, then he followed that up with 41 not out. So, he came into the team to replace Jake Ball, which I'm not quite sure what Jake Ball had done wrong in that one, considering the pitch that he was presented with at the Gabba, and considering that he didn't play another game. It's a bit of a strange one, that. But
it's none of that Nottinghamshire bias, is it?
Not at all, mate. Not at all. No, I'm not going to go there. But yeah, just another one. Root, he got off 50 in that game. But, like I say, missed opportunities, wasn't it? Quite a convincing victory again for Australia. And that took us on to the third test in Perth, which is the last test at the Wacker, which is definitely one of those grounds I'd have loved to have gone to see a game at. But the new stadium looks incredible, so maybe we'll do that instead. And Australia won by an innings and 41. What do you say about this one, really? It's, again, Smith, 239, Mitch Marsh, 181. Even Tim Payne nearly got a 50, 49 not out. I mean, that's jug avoidance going off there, isn't it? So,
there is jug avoidance, but at the same time, again, it was a frustrating series because for so much of the series, England were right at the heart of the contest. Second Test match, we were right in the middle of it until Sean Marsh got 100 and England bowled poorly at the end. And here as well, England scored 400 in the first innings, and it could have been a damn sight more. But we lost the last 6 wickets for about last 4 wickets for 20 or 30 runs.
It's just ridiculous, isn't it? Yeah, just touching on that, Milan 140, Bairstow 119. How do you put 403 up on a first innings? Yeah, and then you by the time you come round to second innings, you've got a deficit of 240 nearly.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous, isn't it? So, and then to only be rattled out for 218, it's just pretty embarrassing. Vince 55, Milan 54, and Josh Hazelwood 5 for 48. Fantastic, really, for Australia. That barrage of fast bowlers they had just was. They'd been threatening for a few years now. He thought they could get all these guys fit. It was going to be a handful, and trust us that we're the test series that actually comes up with them all being fit and firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, definitely, and they were supported so well by Nice Gary, by Nathan Lyons.
Gary, well, by Gary.
Series, first couple of test matches, 1, 2, and 3, let's call it. That's more than a couple, but 1, 2, and 3. He was bowling on the first day and turning the ball well and offering great control, and there was just no let up for the England guys. They could never get a breakaway, whereas I think what the Aussies did really well was they played out Broad and Anderson, and then it was like, oh, okay, ball's on, we'll hit him for a few. Overton's on, we'll hit him for a few. Oh, Moeen Ali's got a bad finger and's not turning the ball. Oh, okay, there's a chance for us to score 3 or 4 and over and relieve the pressure.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely, and fourth takes us to the fourth test. Match drawn at the Boxing Day test at the MCG, which is a bit of respite for England, wasn't it? Again, a very placid pitch, wasn't it? The bowlers for once couldn't really get stuck in on this one. England bowled Australia out 3-2-7 in the first innings, where and then took a lead in after getting 4-9-1 in our first innings, which was Cookie's pretty much almost one and only knock for the series, wasn't it? He got 244 not out.
Yeah, it was. It was a great knock, though. It's the Steve Smith kind of an old school Alistair Cook. He's not been in that zone for a few years where he's just not going to get out, and you can put money on him batting for days and days and days, almost like rolling back the years, Michael Atherton-esque, where they're just zonal, and there's nothing that's going to take them off the stride that they're in. And he was just so good, because you look at the rest of the scoreboard, and not really many other people. There was chip-ins here and there, but no one else got in like he got in.
No, exactly. And rolling back the years, you say about that. I mean, again, the 2010-11 Ashes series where Cook scored about 12,000 runs. That's who he looked like again. I threatened to get rid of my girlfriend for Alistair Cook in that series. If I'd have met him in a bar one night, I think me and him might have been living happily ever after in that series. He was incredible. I've never known anything like it. But I'll try not to keep talking about that series, and especially not when we're talking about. She was fine. She was happy to let me go.
I like the way he scored 12,000 runs. Give or take one a few. Where it's.
Right.
I went out last night. I had 6 pints. Next day you're talking. Went out last night. I had a dozen, mate. It's the same thing. It'll keep growing. He would scored 15,000 runs in that series by the end of the year.
I'm going to throw a figure out there of 754 runs. Now you need to check for me if that's correct. So I don't know why that's popped into my head, but I'm going to go for that. Anyway, fifth test, a stinking hot Sydney and SCG. It was a fifth and final test. Australia won by an innings and 123 runs. A fitting end to a series, to be honest. First innings, Root 83, Milan 62, and young Tom Curran. We've not mentioned him, but he came into the team for the fourth and fifth test to replace the injured Jamie Overton. He got himself a 39. Pat Cummins 4 for 80. And he took a 4 for 39 in the second innings as well to close things out. And it's worth mentioning as well, Usman Khawaja, he played pretty well for the series, but never really got a big score until now, and he got 171. Sean Marsh 156, and another Mitch Marsh 101.
Yeah,
Mason Crane made his debut as well. Sorry, just quickly saying 1 for 193 on debut. Ouch.
That Mitchell Marsh ton really hurt, because. I don't know. I look at Mitchell Marsh and I go, he's not a test match top 6. And there he is, getting 100 with his brother. Incredible moment for the family. Both brothers scoring 100. It was good to see. Couple of 100-run partnership in the Ashes in the last test match. But the big plus point here, to me, when I look at this, it's the fact that Steve Smith failed and only scored 83.
This is like when England used to play against Sachin Tendulkar. Bowling. Can you remember that? That's the early 2000s. Bowling Ashley Giles, over the wicket into the rough to try and stop Tendulkar scoring. And I think we celebrated like we'd won a World Cup when we got him out for about 80 odd one innings.
We did. So, it was terrible tactics. But
it's horrendous cricket. I think that might have been James Foster stumping. First time Sachin had ever been out stumped.
And being a Notts boy, we've got no issues with James Foster, right?
No, not at all, mate. Yeah, he was fine playing for England for all that time, and I'm not going to say anything else. don't do it. Don't do it.
The other point around the fifth test is Joe Root obviously went down injured during the test match, but fair play to the lad. He was obviously in hospital. He had gastroenteritis or whatever it was, some other posh word, paracetamol, and he strapped a set on, and it's one of the few times as an England captain I've seen him strap a set on and forced himself out of there in pieces to bat for the team. I actually commend that. Like, your captain is your leader, and you need to follow him wherever you will go. You look at a Ricky Ponting, any of the top guys, Steve Waugh, those guys, just incredible leaders of men. And Joe Root needs to try and reach that level, in my opinion. He's a fantastic batsman, but guys have got to be willing to follow him. And I think this is one of those moments where we might look back in a few years and go, that was where he became a man, and that's where he became a leader.
Joe Root, he's already shown he's got grit. I mean, he's got a little baby face, hasn't he? But you look at him, he's like 6'5" or something daft, isn't he? The face doesn't suit the build, but it was just hilarious, if I can say that. Seeing him coming back into the SCG with his hospital tag still on his arm. He'd been in hospital. And, I mean, that's amazing. I don't know how many times that happened. I know that we're talking about on Test Match Special about someone else that Kenman battered after being in hospital for tonsillitis or something. But Joe Root, it was maybe it's the start of him as a captain, but, we'll have to see, mate. We'll have to see. But it was nice to see.
There are similar stories in club cricket, but generally they respond to, I've still got the tag on from the nightclub the night before, and I got in at 5 a.m. and I've done really good to make this 1 p.m. start.
I reckon that's probably going to be more of a thing than coming out of hospital with a hospital tag on. I think probably like nightclub stamp on the back of your hand is probably more of a thing. Maybe that's what Ben Stokes wears, that massive thing on his arm, that the big sleeve on his arm for. Maybe it's like just all the different, I don't know, like wristbands and stuff from nightclubs.
It could be, or it could be his tag.
Allegedly. Whoa.
Oh, he went there.
Innocent until proven guilty. He's only been charged. Hasn't been put in front of a court yet.
So how many runs did Steve Smith score in this series? Because it felt like every time I watched it, Steve Smith was batting.
Before I answer that, did you find out how many runs Alistair Cook scored in the 2010-11 Ashes?
No, I didn't.
I asked you one thing. Is that fine? No, so I'll tell you anyway. I don't mind telling you. Steve Smith, 687 runs, 239 was his high score, an average of 137.4.
Wow,
that's not bad. That's not bad.
That's a serious series, isn't it? There's not too many people that's had those sort of series in their lifetime. Some of the greats.
No, absolutely. 3 centuries, two half centuries. Just outstanding, isn't it? I mean, just looking at the most runs in the series, the top 3 were all Aussies. Sean Marsh, 445, David Warner, 441. Dawid Malan was the top scorer for England with 383 at an average of 42.5. So, straight away, you don't have to look too far down the list to start seeing why Australia might have won that series.
Yeah, the funny thing is as well, all the Australians chipped in. Even the tail enders chipped in for Australia. But you look at Alistair Cook's runs is obviously made up of that 244 not out, which was incredible. But then you've got to say, for the other 8 innings that he played, he scored 130 runs, averaged less than 20 for the majority of the series. And you would look at this series and go, there's Steve Smith and there's David Warner, there's Joe Root and there's Alistair Cook. And that was almost like the tag team match that was lined up for the batsmen. And hands down, Warner was great. Warner played different types of innings you would typically see David Warner play. It wasn't the bullish and brash, almost Matthew Hayden-esque trying to bully the attack. It was I'm going to bat, and the longer I bat, the more runs I'm going to score. And I think he took his game to the next level. And he was so consistent. 350s and 100. And he only batted 8 times. That's an incredible achievement.
Just was saying, you don't expect to, we're talking about David Warner and talking about maturity, but, he's added that to his game now, hasn't he? And I think, we were speaking about this before we started recording. Australia just found that pace. They just cut England. Was it death by 1,000 paper cuts? They didn't go out there and smash the ball all over the park. We were looking at some of the strike rates. There was not one player in the whole of the series that actually had a knock over 100 strike rate. So it wasn't like somebody came out and just took a session or a test match away from England. They just chipped away. Mitch Marsh, I think when he scored his 181, it was only a strike rate of about 76. So it just shows you Australia found what worked for them, found that was going to work against England, frustrate England, get the crowd on side, get them against the Poms and what have you. And they just worked it out. I mean, fair play to Steve Smith. He captained brilliantly.
Yeah, he did. He really did. He led from the front with bat and in the field. He looks the captain of that team, hands down. And the guys just did really well. Rolling back to Alistair Cook, 766 runs in the Ashes he scored.
That's not bad. It's 766. So I was how many out? 12 out.
12 out. So not too bad at all. But yeah, the Aussies did such a good job, and Joe Root as well. Joe Root had a good series with the bat. The unfortunate, he batted 9 times. He scored 5 50s. Not many guys would do that in a series or have scored 5 50s in a series. The problem is, England's biggest weakness coming into this series was really the batting lineup. There were so many questions after the South Africa series and West Indies series at home that they were almost struggling to plug the gaps. And the difference being, Steve Smith scored 687 runs. Joe Root scored 378. They're the two best players on either team, and Joe Root he was great, but he wasn't world class like Steve Smith was world class.
No, absolutely. I mean, just kind of finishing up with Australia, that top 6, even Khawaja, everybody performed. I think the only person that didn't work out for Australia in the whole series was that Peter Hanscom. He came in, played the first couple of tests, didn't really work out. And Jackson Bird, I absolutely loved the fact that England fans were using the old Mitchell Johnson. He bowls to the left, he bowls to the right, all that. He's getting stuck into Jackson Bird. I watched him at county cricket. He played for Notts a couple of years ago, and I shouldn't be disrespectful, but he just looked ordinary. He was one of the most ordinary bowlers I've ever seen, turn his arm over in county cricket. And to say that he was an overseas pro and he's still getting a test game, I don't get that one at all. So, but that 11 that they put out with Cam Bancroft and, all the rest of the guys, and when Mitch Marsh came in, it just looks solid. They've just got to keep those players fit, and they could have a really good go in England. They find it difficult in the English conditions, but the amount of guys that have played county cricket or will be playing county cricket before the next Ashes, it's not going to be straightforward for England on the home series.
No, it definitely won't be. The teams have been quite evenly matched for a few years, with Australia winning in Australia and England winning in England. So it definitely will be a good series. I just want to roll into the England batting line at 1 second. James Vince. On a scale of 1 to 10, how talented does James Vince look when he hits the ball
10.
To the boundary?
10. He's Ian Bell, isn't he? He's just such a pretty cricketer, such a beautiful looking batsman. But 10 out of 10 for how he looks. What do you reckon? 1, 2 out of 10 for actual how he performs?
It's frustrating. It's frustrating. I remember saying it. He scored that 83. I think it was in the first test, wasn't it? He scored that 83. And I saw him get out, and I said then, it was probably to the wife, and she probably had no idea what I was talking about, and I said, he won't score many runs in that series now. They've got him. No. They know how to get him out. And it's just so frustrating in watching him play the same wafty shot every single time for a guy that's obviously got bags and bags of potential and class.
But he doesn't play that shot until he's got himself in, and that's the frustration. If he was nicking off for none, or 2 or 3, or he just got a good ball, then you kind of hold your hands up and say he's been unlucky. But it's every single time. He's averaged 26.9. I've never seen such an accurate average of a Test cricketer before, because he's not a bad player.
Yes.
He will make a start, but then he'll nick off or he'll get himself out. So, he's got to be disappointed. He was a bit of a left field, selection anyway. I'm not quite sure where it came from. There were other players I would have preferred to see ahead of him, but again, maybe that's for another day. I just don't understand it, to be honest with you. He's retained his place in the New Zealand squad, and I really do hope that they go in a different direction. He's a pretty player, and maybe there's a future for him, but just, it's not all on him. We've got to go through this England lineup. Yeah. But he definitely stood out as a player that didn't take his opportunity.
Who was it he came in for? Was it Tom Wesley that was batting at 3 in the English summer?
Wesley, yeah, and Wesley was similar. He made some starts. He looked quite. There was at least one knock that was quite a gritty, decent knock. But there was no consistency. And some of these players they're bringing in, it doesn't really feel like they've really done the homework on them. It just seems like, oh, they've done all right, let's give them a whirl. You know, you look at some of these other guys, you know, they had the temperament. People like your Trescothics and your Vaughans and, you know, Strauss, Cook. They might not have had the absolute best record in county cricket, but when they brought them in the team, they just knew. It's like, these guys have got the temperament to be Test cricketers. All these county batsmen, they've got ability. You've got to have ability to score runs in county cricket. But which one's got the temperament? Which one's going to take this into Test cricket? And it's few and far between, as we've found in the quest for the opener over the last 2 or 3 years. You know, all these guys are talented players, but none of them have stuck so far, have they?
Yeah. Stoneman had the Michael Carberry treatment, or the Michael Carberry output in terms of a series. It seemed like every time he was getting in, he got out. And Carberry was fantastic in that series down under where England got dropped. Because every single innings he got in, but he was almost scapegoated for getting in and getting out when there were people worse. And Stoneman, if he has a bad run in New Zealand, might find himself in the same boat.
Yeah, that was the Mitchell Johnson series, wasn't it, where he suddenly found how to bowl rapid and accurate. So yeah, Carberry, he was immense, that series. But just talking about Stoneman, I mentioned it briefly. In the warm-up games, he hit 85, 61, 51 and 111. He took that into the first test and hit 53. He's peaked too soon.
Yeah, he has.
You know, I hope it's not something that happens too often for him, but he's just peaked too soon. He's averaged 25 and a bit, you know, a top score of 56. I'm sick and tired of England just rotating and recycling openers, so I'd really hope that he does stick. He had a fantastic knock in the Zenith Data Systems one-day final that we can't remember the proper name of against Notts earlier in the year, and he hit 130 or whatever it was, and it was one of the most superb innings we've seen. And then Hales followed up and basically outdid him and won the game. But Stoneman just looks a class act. He's mature. He's got a lot about him. I just hope that he can nail down that place in New Zealand. If he does fail in New Zealand, we're back to the drawing board again, aren't we? There. Well, you know, I mean, Stoneman and Cook, that's where we are at the moment with those, aren't we? England, obviously, they played Vince at 3. Just before we kind of go too far through the order, Joe Root, captain, he wants to bat at number 4. This is you know, it's on repeat, this conversation wherever you tune in for your cricket listening. Joe Root, I just look back at the Australian team with Ricky Ponting. He was your captain. He was your stud. He was your absolute stud gun player. He batted at 3. I just think that this team, where we haven't got established middle order batsmen, I just would like to see Joe Root take responsibility, be the number 3 batsman, and then you can fit Milan now, who's starting to establish himself, fit him at maybe number 4, and then you make a decision at number 5. I just think that's the way forward. I don't know about you, Rob.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. Number 3, historically in Test cricket for me, has always been the best player in the team. No matter what team you're playing against, you look at Ricky Ponting at 3, Jack Callis at 3, Brian Lara at 3. It's just incredible players. And England obviously had a huge gap at number 3 for years and years, rolling back the years into the 90s. We had a gap at 1 to 11 sometimes, but they were pretty poor. But Joe Root is the best player that we've got, hands down. And he should be the one that goes, I'm captain, I should bat at 3, because I've got these guys less experienced and not as talented as me that I need to protect. It's no good me batting at 4 and getting 50. I need to bat at 3 and get 100. That should be my job. And then the guys who are failing at 3, because we've had a rotation at 3 of guys who keep failing, let's blood them in. Let's bat them at 5 and 6, move everyone else up 1.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the usual strengths for the England Test side became a bit of a weakness in this series, and that was the middle order. Obviously, Stokes, massive loss. We can't get over that one. You know, it could have been a lot different if he had had an early night. Maybe him and Hales had just decided that we're just going to go for a country, pint in a country pub somewhere rather than a nightclub. But you know, that's gone now, isn't it? But you look at that middle order this series. Bairstow, he hit the 1 century. I think 1 century, no half centuries, averaging 34, 306 runs. Moeen Ali, massive disappointment. Love Moeen Ali, but 179 runs at less than 20 with a high score of 40.
Yeah, I tipped Moeen for a big series. Talking to one of my other mates, other friends, I said Moeen Ali would be the top run scorer for England. It just goes down to show how little I actually know about cricket that he scored 179 runs.
But
it's
confidence, though, isn't it?
So disappointing for someone that's so talented.
But it's the confidence, isn't it, that comes into it. And maybe, when you look at him, he had the issue going into the series, or at least after the first test or whenever it was, about his spinning hand. Maybe the fact that he took 5 wickets for 575 runs at an average of 115 didn't help.
No, it doesn't.
So it didn't help his confidence. He's not swaggering out to the middle after taking a 5 for, is he? So It's a difficult one. But again, the squad makeup just didn't make sense. Who was Moeen Ali's replacement?
Yeah.
They brought Mason Crane in the squad as the second spinner. It didn't make sense to me that they didn't take a Moeen Ali replica.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Especially with Ben Stokes being out of the squad. If you've got Stokes at 6 or 7, or Bairstow 6 and 7, and Moeen Ali at 8, Moeen Ali will be the finest number 8 in Test cricket.
Yeah.
You push him up the order and play him at 7 on a batting lineup up top that's failing. It's a different game for him to play. He's a great exponent of stroke playing. Trying to save a test match and not get after the spinner or not get after the bowlers, it's a different kettle of fish. And you're right. And when you say bowling, if he's bowling poorly, generally you don't bat as well. When confidence is high, it just bleeds that you do well. And Moeen Ali he was poor all round. Not one part of his game could he get right.
Exactly, and the balance of the team, like you say, if Stokes is there at 6, Bairstow's at 7, suddenly, okay, Moeen's not performing. You can bring Wokes up to number 8, and then you can put in Mason Crane behind maybe Broad at 10. So there is that balance there. But when you're asking someone to bat at 7, we really needed to take Moeen out of the firing line, in my opinion, in this series. But that's up to the selectors and who they decided would be in that squad. Gary Ballance was the replacement batsman for most of the series, and he didn't get a game, and rightly so, to be honest with you. I'm not his biggest fan.
It almost felt like the selectors didn't want to play him, because they did have an opportunity. You've got a failing top 6. There's a chance to bring Ballance in, but he's been in and failed twice or thrice now. Surely it's time to give up the ghost on Gary Ballance and go,
I'm over
there
it.
are better
I'm
players.
over it. Exactly, that's it. And again, at the instant with Stokes, without going into it, Hales, who was with him, why did Hales not get a shout? Why didn't he get called up? It might be to do with that, but it didn't feel like he was going to get a call up anyway. I mean, he hit 300 in one knock for Notts last year, and again, it sounds like we're going over the same thing with Notts bias. And to be honest with you, I don't care too much. He's a good player, and I'd love to have seen him given a go at number 5. Yes, he failed in opening, but he's somebody that knows how. He's not overawed by facing these Aussies and these quicks. He wants to take the game to him, and I'd like to have seen him, in that middle order.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Same. A big fan of Alex Hales. Bags of potential, bags of ability now to hit the ground and go in the middle order for England. And I thought that's kind of where England might have wanted to go. The fact that Notts dropped him down the order to number 3 was, there must be some sort of reasoning behind that. Maybe they don't want him as a test opener, they want him to play at number 3 and see if he can play at 3. And he actually had a really good season.
Yeah, Hales was desperate to play, in that middle order, and that's why he requested that through Notts. So, but anyway, we can talk about that when we kind of go deeper into it. Maybe next week when we're looking at the New Zealand series and who we would have picked instead. Jumping onto the bowling side for the England guys. Wokes came into the team. He's done well with bat and ball. Really, he's not set the world alight, for want of a better term, but he did all right. 10 wickets, 49.5, not the greatest average. But then Brody got 11 wickets of 47, so it's nothing dramatic. The only bowler really that came out with any sort of credit is Jimmy Anderson, 17 wickets at 27. Craig Overton did all right in the couple of games he played, 6 wickets. Tom Curran, I'm not sure in the Test match. In Australia, you're looking at players that can get some bounce and have some pace behind them, and we came in with a very, very similar, samey sort of bowling attack, didn't we?
We did. We definitely did. Credit to Jimmy Anderson, because he's been slated for his performances in Australia, but he was incredible. 18 in 17 wickets at 473, an average of 27. But get this, he had the lowest economy rate out of any frontline bowler from either team. That goes to show the respect that the Aussies had for him and his ability. And it's the thing watching Jimmy Anderson, he hardly bowls a bad ball. It's not very often you see one drift into the legs. He went at 2.11 and over for the whole series, 5 Test matches.
That's serious
incredible.
economy, that is, mate. That's serious. It's just nobody can criticise Jimmy. It's simple as that. I don't think there's anyone that you'd get any. You wouldn't respect anybody for trying to shred Jimmy. And you look at that economy, and Australia again, sensible. They had a real game plan coming into this series, and as the series went on, if you're an Aussie, you're looking at that England bowling attack. What are you going to do? You're going to see off Jimmy, aren't you? And then you're going to fill your boots with Craig Overton and the way Broad was bowling and Wopes to a degree and Tom Curran and Moen, you just mop him up as well. And Jake Ball 1 wicket in the game in the first test. Mason Crane, as we said, 1 for 193 in his first test. You're not going to take too many risks against Jimmy. You're just going to see him off, get into the rest.
That's it. Broady, disappointed with Broady. He did come into the test match in bad form from the warm-up games. But I guess for me, Wokes was one of the guys I was really excited to see play, because I don't get to see as much of England play as I'd like, because they play at night time in the test matches while I'm asleep over in New Zealand. And Wokes has grown a great reputation for himself as a beautiful seam bowler. He's packed on a bit of meat. He's been down the gym lifting, bro. And now he's got a couple of extra yards on his bowling. He's a dangerous bowler. And
he had to have that.
Just expected a little bit more than what he was able to deliver. But the fact is, it's a different wicket. And that's the great thing about Test cricket, is you go to these different countries, you play on different wickets. Indians, great exponents at the bottom end and playing on turning wickets. England, great at batting on these seaming wickets and leaving the ball well. Australia, bloody good at playing on flat, dry, bouncy wickets and hammering it and bouncing people out. It plays into everyone's favour, and I think Wokesy just got found out for not playing any cricket in Australia before this. I think it's almost gone are the days where these young lads coming through. I remember reading Alex Stewart's book, and I think it was in the late 80s. He went out to Sydney to play for a couple of years because he wasn't good enough to play county cricket. He was playing second team cricket, so he went and toured Australia. You don't see many of the guys coming through these days that have had that same club cricket experience of going to Australia and taking a year. It's almost like they're in this bubble of county cricket, and they might have training plans and all these other things. And I actually think there's a lot of value in just going away for a year, one, growing up, and two, having someone come at you like the Aussies would come at you on a year, young Pom in Australia, where we're going to knock his head off, aren't we? And just experiencing that firsthand, and the first time you do it, not in a test match.
Yeah, well, every summer we give plenty of time to Australian players in county cricket. It really would be beneficial if we could get some English guys going and playing in Australia or even South Africa. I know it doesn't quite work out with the times of year, etc. But I suppose it could do to a point. But they just need to have that experience. But it always just makes me giggle. Really, Australia, they're not the sort of country that are going to go, yeah, well, come on in, come and join us, come on, play on our surfaces for a few months. No problem, get used to it.
Yeah, and anti-immigration.
Wow. That's
anti-gay marriage until the other week, which they've just passed. Big thumbs up for Australia. Well done. You're now in the 21st century, mate. The other bowler that's slightly disappointed, who's coming with a decent reputation from county cricket, is Overton. He was lucky. He played in 2 test matches, picked up 6 wickets, but he looked like a newcomer to test cricket for me by the fact he went for so many boundaries, just constantly relieving the pressure. He went at 3.83 and over. Now, that's almost double what Jimmy Anderson was bowling at, and it's a huge part of the game. Test cricket's about building pressure, bowling to a plan, and executing that plan and waiting for the batsman to make the mistake. It's not always going to be this wonder ball that Jimmy's going to produce, and I was a bit disappointed with Overton. Just as, ball was harshly dropped in the first test match for bowling on the Brisbane wicket that he got given. Sure, he went at 4.42, but Overton was only 0.5 less than that in terms of economy, and he got 2 test matches. So surely Ball should have been given a chance to bowl on a better bowling wicket.
Yeah, I think Overton would have played the last 2 tests as well, actually, if it wasn't for an injury. It was only, Curran was a late call-up, wasn't it? Was it after Finn was left the squad with injury?
Yeah,
so it was all a bit disjointed. I mean, that's what tends to happen now. You have these series where it doesn't go well results-wise on the pitch, performance-wise, and off the field becomes even more disjointed and dysfunctional, and that's what we saw. We've had plenty of these series in Australia, but now we're 3-1 up in a one-day series. We're flying again, aren't we? So suddenly it's all forgotten. The confidence starts coming back. We move over to New Zealand, after a smack around of 2020, and then suddenly test matches. And so what happened in Australia? Well, I can't remember. Let's go on. Let's crack on.
I feel the focus will start to change. I feel they've had a real good focus around the one-day team. And the focus of where we're doing well. The next big thing for England is going to be the World Cup in 2019.
Yeah, and that's the focus.
You'll see the focus switch during the summer. Once the first couple of test matches out of the way and they have the first one-day series, that's where the focus will go to, and a lot of the conversation will revolve around, as well as who the hell is going to open with Alistair Cook.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's all about what Stoneman does in New Zealand, isn't it? So yeah, I mean, England completely outplayed. Australia was superb. They didn't do it through, absolute brilliant performances, in a kind of a modern way. They did it in that almost an old-fashioned way. They did. Of really just carving England to death slowly, and fair play to them. You're not going to get too much credit out of us for Aussies too often, but fantastic. I just thought they were awesome, just from start to finish. Wasn't the easiest to watch it over here. BT Sport took it instead of Sky. So I was watching it on my phone, most of it, wrapped up in bed with my headphones on, as I'm sure most of the population was, to be honest. But yeah, it wasn't a series that you definitely wanted to watch every minute of it anyway.
No, I miss those days. One of the point that you pointed out before we came on air was the partnerships from the series. Yes. Out of the top 20 partnerships, batting partnerships, 15 of them were Australian, and only 5 were English, and that. Again, that goes to show how Australia constantly grounded out, did real good, and England just a constant leakage of wickets.
So what I'd like to do then, Rob, is for a future podcast, whether it's next week or the week after, I'd like to mop up the ODI series with Australia-England. The fifth and final one there will be played on Sunday. So, as much as I'd like to talk about it now, I think let's wait until that 5th game is played, and then we'll roll through that one. And then we'll start building towards the Tri-Series in New Zealand.
Yeah, definitely. Looking forward to that. I've got my tickets for a couple of games. I'm going to New Zealand, Australia. I'm going to England, New Zealand. And I'm going to... I've got tickets to the day-night test match at Eden Park. And I've got tickets to the one-day international between New Zealand and England at Eden Park as well.
Rub it in, pal. Rub it in. That'll be awesome. Get your beige on. You'll be fine.
I love a bit of the old kicks, the classics.
Oh, Beige Brigade. You've got to get involved.
Yeah. So we'll talk through that next time. We'll talk through the one-day series, whatever is up and coming in the cricket news. And also, guys, if you have any cricketing stories, any club cricketing stories of what's gone on, please be sure to get in touch with us. The email to get in touch with us will be available in the description on the podcast where you're listening from. Also, check us out on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. It's all the Leading Edge Podcast. So that's the first episode of the Leading Edge Podcast in the books, guys. If you've enjoyed it, please rate, review, subscribe through wherever you listen to this podcast, through iTunes, through Android. Any support that we get will definitely help grow the channel and grow this cricket community that we want to continue to grow. From myself, thank you very much, and Rich.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. I enjoyed that, mate, and hopefully one or two people might want to listen to what we've got to say.
You never know. Just imagine 2 guys, couple of pints, and some salted peanuts, and there you go. You've got it.
I just need to teach my dad how to download a podcast that we're flying.
Legend. Thank you, mate. Thank you, guys. Till next time.